Alright fellas, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And it's been a minute since I did my last commentary video, so I figured out why not bang out another one here. Just got finished seeing Assassin's Creed, the movie with Michael Fassbender. And I figured I'd give my thoughts on it, being, you know, somebody who's played all of the Assassin's Creed games, probably besides the last two. I touched on, I think the last one I really played through was the French one, the one that they had. I didn't really touch on the London one all that much, just because I wasn't interested in it, and it, you know, just didn't pick it up and play it for myself. So, but I played all of the older ones, know what the story is from the games and everything. Hence the reason why I went to go see this movie. And going into the movie, I didn't know what to expect. A lot of people are trashing the movie, saying that the movie completely sucks, it feels disjointed, doesn't really explain anything. Just been hearing a lot of bad news about it. And I went and seen it, and I would have to say they are absolutely right. This movie didn't explain a whole lot. It didn't kind of hold your hand. It didn't have any meaningful conclusions, I would say. And it was just, it wasn't the worst movie ever. I've seen far worse. If I had to give my personal opinion on it, this movie was competent. You know, it kind of, it's kind of hard to explain. It kind of fast tracks the main story plot points of the first game. You know, of course, and then, you know, they're changing characters around, things like that, but they're pretty much taking the basic story of the game, streamlining it down, and then fast tracking it so they can get, like, you know, something in 2 hours. And it's not bad what they did. You can follow along with the movie, what's going on, things like that. So it's not like it's a complete clusterfuck like Batman v Superman is, where it's just like certain plot points that jump in there or certain scenes and you're like, who in the hell is this guy? You know, they kind of play it on, and they tell you, you know, bit by bit what's going on. It's just that they fast track it so much without explaining it. It's like almost like this movie is made for people. I want to say it's made for the fans of the game. If you play the game, you don't need everything explained to you. But when you make a movie and you're putting it out there for everybody to see, you have to make it with at least somewhat of an intention that, you know, people are going to go see this movie that are, let's say, aren't, you know, you have to make it as if like they never played the games in order to make a competent story. You know, nothing really gets found out about Michael Fassbender's character. He does a complete 180 at the end of the movie. I'll touch on that later. And a lot is explained, but at the same time, it's not explained. It's hard to describe, like I said. But here's the rundown. Basically, Michael Fassbender is the child of, I'm assuming they were two assassins. Because I was getting the vibe that his mom was a Templar, but I think she showed up at the end. So I'm going to assume that they were two assassins. Abstergo was kidnapping assassins in the present time, trying to put them into Animus and everything so they can try to locate the Apple of Eden. Same thing in the first game. However, the moment they found him, or excuse me, found his parents, the dad, you know, his father killed his mother, and then, you know, was about to kill him, but I guess he couldn't do it, so he told him, he told his son to run. Now his son runs off, gets away. The movie jumps from that point to like 30 years, you know, in the future. Some reason Michael Fassbender's locked up in prison, going through death row. They say he murdered somebody, but you never see it. They basically execute him, and the only really driving point of the scene of him getting executed is he say that what does he say? They give him like the last time he's gonna say something, and he says something like tell my father I'll see him in hell, or something like that. But basically, he hates his dad for what he did with his mom, and that's pretty much his driving motivation throughout the movie. And he wakes up, after being executed, and then he wakes up in this Abstergo facility in Spain, and they say, oh yeah, look, we're gonna help each other, you're gonna help us find the apple of Eden, and you're gonna help us also stop aggression in mankind, stop violence, all of this bullshit. And that's something that's all they give you. They don't fully explain how they're gonna stop violence, nothing. They don't explain what the apple is, nothing. It's just, the only thing that they tell you about the apple is just that, oh, it contains the genetic something, something or other that can eliminate free will, but they never tell you how it can eliminate free will. Being as an audience member, you're left to your own interpretations. You don't know what the hell the apple is. I mean, they never really show it do anything besides glow at the end of the movie, and they pretty much says that basically, oh, it was made by other beings or whatever. They give you like a 30-second synopsis as far as where the apple came from, where they were like, oh, some religions believe it was the piece of man's first sin, other people believe it came from a previous civilization, and then like that's it. That's all they give you. And that's my main problem with the movie. Basically, Michael Fassbender is thrown in this animus, and he's reliving the events of his ancestor, things like that, because his ancestor is the last person who's seen, the apple. He was the last person who had it. So just like in the games with Desmond Miles, they're trying to figure out where this apple is in the present, and they're using him to do it. Now, throughout the course, they have other assassins in this. They make it a several point. They call it not a prison, but this facility that acts like a prison with guards and everything. And he's not the only assassin that they've took into this facility. He's just the latest one. They pretty much put everybody into this animus, and they somehow tracked the apple's location down to his ancestor, and that's why they wouldn't grab him. And he's the last living descendant of those who protected it. And as the movie goes on, he's learning things through the animus, through the bleeding effect. And for those of you who don't know, in the movie, they never really touch on it at all. They just pretty much, they call it the bleeding effect, but that's it. But basically what the bleeding effect is, if you've never played the games, it's kind of like you put somebody in the animus. They relive the events that their ancestor did. So you're essentially reliving their life. As you're reliving their life, you're obviously learning all the knowledge that they learned in their life. So essentially, you're learning how to run, jump, wall run. You essentially learn how to kill people. So you take that knowledge with you in the present. See what I'm saying? And so that's what they call the bleeding effect. Now, also, you see, since you're hooked into these memories, it also triggers you in the present to see hallucinations of your ancestors, their knowledge, anything that's in their genetic memory. Now, mind you, it's not just the person, Aguilar, the guy you see in the movie, that he's seeing. It's everybody. In the movie, it's mostly him, but I know in the bleeding effect in the games, you saw anybody in your lineage. Not just a person that you were plugged into, so to speak. And I think they even had one guy in the game where they just kind of stuck him in the animus, and eventually you had all the different ancestors' personalities jumping over each other, trying to fight for control of him in the present. So it kind of gave him like multiple personality disorder. But in the movie, Michael Fassbender is seeing glimpses of Aguilar and stuff like that, and he's basically not really telling him anything because he's not talking, but he's seeing visions of him and stuff like that, and he learns how to mimic his fighting style, things like that. And it eventually gets to the point where they put him back into the machine. They find out what happened to the apple. They figure out where it is in the present, and all of the assassins break out of the facility, and they basically, just really three of them, really. Like, you have Michael Fassbender, the black guy who's been in a bunch of movies. I don't know his name, but I recognize his face. And this one Asian chick and this one white guy. And they basically go to try to rescue Michael Fassbender, because while he's doing all of that, Michael Fassbender doesn't really care about the Assassin's Creed because he never really learned it, so to speak. and he feels as though everything bad in his life stems from his mom killing his dad, so he hates his dad, who was an assassin. So his whole driving motivation to find this apple is so that, oh, I'm going to give it to them so that they can kill all the assassins, you know, because he doesn't want to help them. Now, everybody else in this facility, all the other assassins are like, oh man, he's going to tell them where the apple is, because they already know what the deal is. You know, they already know that, you know, since they've relived their ancestors, they're trying to protect, you know, this apple's location, whereas Michael Fassbender's like, screw that, I really don't care. And through learning where the apple is and everything, and learning what Aguilar went through to try to, I guess, protect it, that's what somehow made Michael Fassbender, I'm not going to say learn about the creed, but I'll touch on that in a second. But he pretty much comes to what the assassins were thinking and realizes that he has to protect it and everything. Because at the end of when they find out where the apple is, he's stuck in this kind of vision where he's seeing his previous ancestors talk to him and stuff, and he sees his mom talking to him and everything, and they make a point to mention that it wasn't a memory, so this is like something, you know, something new where the other personalities were coming through. I don't know if they were coming through the animus or the bleeding effect. I'm assuming it was the animus because, you know, other people can see it. In this, the animus pretty much is a holographic projection rather than just like a chair that they sit in like the games. Because in the games, one person sits in the chair and you pretty much, let's say, go to sleep or whatever, and you personally relive everything in your head, in your mind, right? And then, but on the computer's end, they can take in the data that they're getting from you and then see what happened. They can track the data. They don't actually see it like in the movie. In the movie, whoever is in the animus, it's like anybody or whatever their senses perceive around them. The people that are on the outside in the real world looking at the person in the animus, they can actually see it through like a holographic projection. Kind of gave everything like a smoky look to it. That was pretty cool. Doesn't really make a lot of sense with the claw arm though, but I guess, I mean, if you're suspending your disbelief for a lot of it, so they don't have to, you know, really explain how that works, because if you're running and jumping, eventually you're going to hit a wall or a ceiling or something in that thing. But at the end of the movie, Michael Fassbender and the four other guys, they break out of the facility, go to where Jeremy Irons has the Apple of Eden. He takes it to the Templar thing. They're making a big ceremony about it. Michael Fassbender breaks in there, slits the guy's throat, takes the apple, and that's it. And I have a big problem with how the movie played out. Like I said, it wasn't bad, but as a fan of the franchise, if I had, you know, if I could turn back the clock and be like, look, I'm running this movie, I would have did things a hell of a lot simpler. Basically, keep the movie in the past. During the movie, during like most of the fight scenes, or at least in the first half of the movie, they kept jumping back and forth. They would show him being Aguilar, running and jumping and killing somebody, and then during the moment he would do something, it would show like Michael Fassbender in the present. And it's like, okay, after the first couple times of seeing it, it's like, okay, we get it. You're reliving the events, you know. It's like you don't have to show Michael Fassbender, you know, doing everything as he's doing it. It's like after the first couple times, it's like, okay, the audience gets the thing. I would cut that out altogether. Don't even have nothing to do with the present. Just throw all that out, right? If I was fixing the movie, I would keep it in the past and have just basically tell Aguilar's story. Kind of like what they did with Assassin's Creed 1. Except with Assassin's Creed 1, you spent some time in the present as Desmond Miles. You don't even have to set that up for the pretense of the movie. Just jump right in as Aguilar and be like, look, you know, we're fighting the Templars, we're the assassins. You know, go through that whole intro about who, you know, the assassins were, what the creed was, because they kind of sort of just jump you in and be like, oh, here's the creed we follow, but they never actually, it has no meaning behind it. You know, as a viewer, you don't really understand what it is because they never show you what it is. You know, I know what it is because I played the games. So, but if I'm somebody who's never played the games, there's no meaning behind it. There's no attachment to it. And that's why I said you have to keep it in the past. You have to show, you know, the main story from the past, showing the apple, having the Templars try to get it, have Aguilar trying to find it and get it, right? And then at the end, he has the apple, right? You save the day, so to speak. You stop them from getting it. And now you show him, let's say, hiding it, right? And then at the end of the credit scene, because I mean, if you wanted to have an end credit scene, I don't know if the movie did. I walked out when the credits started, but have an end credit scene of Michael Fassbender in the present, waking up in the Animus. And then you're like, oh shit, and just keep that secret, right? And then at the end, because as an audience member, you're like, oh yeah, you thought you were watching a movie about the past. Nah, whole movie was taking place in the present. And then when you make the sequel, have that be about Michael Fassbender being in Abstergo, and then you continue on from there, like, okay, now we're in the present. You already know what the Apple of Eden is about. You already know what the assassins are about. Now we're in present day. Assassins versus Templars, and why they have to find the apple and everything. Now the assassins have to try to stop the Templars because now they know where the apple is and they're trying to get it, and then you can take the story from there. If they'd have did things that way, the movie would have had more meaning behind it, because you're already attached to the characters, you already know what they're about, everything like that. I think that would have been better as a franchise going forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is going to be your intro movie to at least 3 or 4 movies, explain that shit, because now it's like you got people walking out like nobody clapped during the movie, everybody just left, because now it's like, okay, you've seen the movie, but you have no attachment to nothing, not the story, not the characters. And it's not because the movie was bad. Like I said, the movie wasn't bad, it's just it was fast-tracked a little bit too much, and they had a couple useless scenes in there that didn't really need to be in there. I think they could have filled that in with something else. And even if the movie was, let's say, like half and half, like the first half, was just Aguilar in the past, and then the second half was Michael Fassbender in the future. Like if they could do it that way, even that way would have been better than just jumping back and forth and, all of that. I think all the characters in the movie and all the actors played their roles. I think the only person I really didn't like all that much was the what was her name? The main doctor chick in the movie. I forget what her name is, but I didn't really like her character. It would have made more sense. I would have liked to see, I would have liked them did it like the game, because in the game there was a person like that who was messing around with Desmond and stuff like that, dropping him hints and stuff. But you find out at the end of the game that she was an assassin that infiltrated the Templars and all of that. It would have made more sense if, let's say, that was her character rather than, she helps him break free and helps the assassins break out. That would have made more sense rather than, I think in the movie, she was just the guy who runs the facility. She was like Jeremy Irons' daughter, and she was the scientist behind the Animus and all of that stuff. It would have made more sense, because she didn't have to be in the movie. She didn't do nothing the whole movie. She wasn't like his love interest. She wasn't, an integral part of the movie. It was just like, somebody had to be there. Somebody has to be the scientist and explain what the Animus is. That was her whole point. And I just think Jeremy Irons could have did that role a hell of a lot better, because even he was only in like a few scenes, but I was like, why isn't he the scientist who developed the Animus? Because he was like, he had like a little conversation. He had a couple conversations with her. He had one conversation with Michael Fassbender, and just in his scenes alone, I was like, wow, he's like a complete better actor than she is at this. Why isn't he the one to, do everything? It would have made more sense, and plus he's a better actor, or at least in my mind he is. I think Michael Fassbender kind of did his own thing. It's not the best role I've seen him in, but it wasn't bad. I think, out of everybody in the movie, probably him and Jeremy Irons kind of killed it. The French chick that was also in the movie with him in the past, with Aguilar in the past, I would like to see more with her, because I liked her as a character. She was pretty cool. Sadly to say, they don't do a whole lot with with their characters in the past, even with Aguilar and whatnot. They don't do anything to show you their characters. It's like they show Aguilar becoming an assassin, getting his finger cut off, and going through the whole ceremony. That's when they kind of be like, that's when they say the creed, but you as audience member don't know what it means. It's just, you're just hearing them say it. They give him his blade and everything. Then it kind of jumps back and forth with them protecting this prince of this sultan, because for some reason the assassins gave the apple to a sultan to protect, and now the Templars are trying to kill the Sultan's son, or at least kidnap him, so that they can use him to force the Sultan to give them the apple. You know, that's what Aguilar and the one chick is trying to prevent, you know. And it's just, that story kind of falls flat because you're only seeing bits and pieces of it. Like I said, if you had a whole movie of that and you had the full understanding as far as like beginning, middle, and end to the whole conclusion of that story, I think that would have been a great ass movie with just by itself. But that's me personally. That's why I think they should have did that as the first movie and then jump you to the present once you fully understand everything. You know, it would have made more sense, you know, as a starting point. But I don't actually know who to blame, you know, because it's one of those things. I don't follow directors like that, so I don't know who directed it. I don't know what their experiences is, but I don't know if Ubisoft made this themselves or if they handed it along. I know at the beginning I only saw the Ubisoft logo, so maybe they made it themselves. I don't know. Maybe that's why it feels kind of disjointed. It feels like I wish they would have took their time with it. I wish they'd have you know, I know that's I say this a lot being a fan of comic book movies and stuff, but I wish they would have took the Marvel approach to things. Like, you don't have to say everything in your first movie. You know, I understand you want to make it a franchise and all that. You want to make it a big hit. That's fine. But make a good movie and people will watch it. You know, like you already have the Assassin's Creed name attached behind it. So most likely people, if they're fans of the games, they're going to already see it. You know, but you want to attract everybody else. I'm not saying you got to take the Marvel approach and make everybody likable and funny and spit jokes and all that. You can make a serious ass movie, but just make it a good movie. Have a coherent plot from beginning, middle, and end that doesn't get bemuddled by scenes that shouldn't be in the movie and a lot of jumbled up content. You have to, you know, engross your audience. You know, you have to engage them and make them feel like and they understand what's going on in the movie. Like, you take any really, really good movie, and it's, you know, most good movies throughout history, they were either really good visually, meaning they do something that nobody's never seen before that completely wows the audience. Take Avatar when that came out. Not the cartoon spin-off movie, because that was some garbage, but the Avatar movie about the blue people and trees. The James Cameron one, I think. You know, do something like that where it's visually like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. Or movies that are like those intellectual movies where it makes your audience think about the movie and the content and things like that. You have to engross them and engage them and things like that, you know, to make a really good movie. And I think this movie could have did that, but it didn't. They could have easily, you know, brought in the sci-fi thing with the sequel, have the first movie be about the past, you know, engrossing you with all the characters and all of that stuff. And the story kind of touch on what the apple is. Like, we don't know what it is, but people who've had it throughout history have been able to, you know, like, I wish they'd have explained it like the game did. Because in the game, they explained it. The Apple of Eden is basically a device that when people hold it, anybody within the vicinity of that person, it basically lets you mind control other people. That's basically what it does. In the movie, they never explained that. They just said, oh, it's going to wipe out free will. It has the genetic stuff in it that's going to control people to make it just do it. You know, but they never said it like that. They just said it's going to wipe out all violence and stuff like that. So it's like they never fully explained it. They never showed anybody using it either. That was another problem. I think at the end, they should have ended the movie off, so to speak, kind of like how the game did it, where at the game, all you knew about was the apple in the first game with Altair and everything. And then at the end of the game, you find out like, oh, you just thought it was one piece of Eden. No, it's about 30 of these bitches. You know, so they all do something different. So that's where it spins off and then becomes a sequel, and you can explain about the other pieces and things like that. And that's where I think this movie should have left off on. Like, if you'd have had, you know, all of the movies talking about the past, and then at the end credits show Michael Fassbender waking up from the Animus, and number one, that's a completely unexpected thing, you know, for the audience to see. They're gonna be like, oh shit, you mean this wasn't like a movie about the past that I was watching? And then you can have them be like, oh yeah, we found the piece of Eden, and then we also know the locations of the other ones too, and then, you know, show like a map or something, just like they did in the game, where it's just more than one. And at the end of the movie, if you show somebody using the apple, let's say you have like a guy speaking to like a crowd of a couple thousand people, and you don't even have to show a whole lot. Just have him hold the apple, have it glow or something, and have him talk, and just have show like everybody kneel, you know, or everybody kill each other, or do something, right? So that the audience knows that, oh wow, these pieces of Eden are like, you know, they're powerful artifacts, you know, that's all you really got to get across. And then show at the end, show like 30 of them, so that the audience knows like, oh, there's 30 of these different things, you know. And then like, I wonder where they're going to go from here, you know. Leave your audience, you know, guessing, you know, kind of, you know, wrap them up in your story and keep them there. Don't jump all over the place and stuff like that. But like I said, the movie, it's not the worst movie I've seen. It's probably not the worst movie I've seen this year. You know, that probably goes to Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. But the movie was it was good for what it was. You know, you have to kind of go in there playing like the first Assassin's Creed game. I would say that. You have to kind of jump in there with the knowledge of the first game, then you'll be okay. Now, maybe if I didn't play the game and then seen the movie, maybe my outcome or my opinion will be different. But, you know, like I said, the movie's not bad. They can still make a sequel. I mean, it's sequel baked hard at the end of the movie. And they can, I guess, still make one. But then it's kind of... Hence the reason why I think you got to, you know, engage your audience is that, you know, if they do make a sequel, nobody's attached to none of the characters, you know. So who's going to see the sequel? You know, but that's just my my opinion on it and everything. So let me know down in the comments if you guys seen the movie. If you guys want me to check out any other movie, you know, that's out. I mean, I don't mind doing it. I have the next 2 weeks off, so I'm gonna, you know, get some gaming and you know, get some gaming sessions in, and I'm gonna check out a few movies. So expect more commentaries, probably every other day for me. I'm gonna find something to talk about. So my name has been Denonu, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.